Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee were thought to be very easy Pokemon games, or at least compared to most other games in the main series. Because of this, I decided to make it a bit harder. I decided to beat Let's Go Eevee. When the Pokemon levels up, they die. This way, they can never get any stronger, and I could use them for just a few battles. And one more requirement I set. I was only able to use one Pokemon each battle. With that out of the way, let's go right into the adventure. I began by picking the girl and naming myself Cops, as well as naming the rival Drew Oak. Now I was all set to start my adventure. I quickly meet and catch an Eevee, or I nicknamed the level. I received a Pokédex from Professor Oak, and a town map from my mom, and finally headed northward to Viridian City. There I received a parcel from the professor, which I delivered, and I got into a battle with the rival, Drew Oak. This battle had to be done a bit differently than normal. To minimize the amount of XP I get during the game, I had to intentionally lose the first battle by only using tail whips. After a while, the battle finally did end, and I got to leave and start my journey for real now. I was gifted an outfit, which I never wore, and I headed along Route 1 once again, and ran into a trainer. This youngster was completely mandatory. Remember that to reduce experience intake, I needed to avoid all trainers I possibly could. I received a small amount of XP and headed ahead to Viridian Forest, where I found and caught a Pikachu. This is when I realized that this challenge would be a lot more interesting. You get bonus XP from getting an excellent throw, and from catching them with the first ball. Since I forgot about that, I lost my personal Eevee very quickly. I learned my lesson and changed up how I caught more Pokemon. I caught a Bellsprout, avoiding nice, great, and excellent throws. Then I found a Pidgey, which I caught a bit differently. Yep, I missed my first throw on purpose, just to reduce the experience I received. I arrived in the Pewter City gym and showed them my Bellsprout, then caught a stronger one that I used to actually take on the leader. That was a problem. To defeat him, I couldn't just attack with my level 7 Bellsprout. I used Growth to raise my attack just enough to take out both Brock's Geodude and his Onix. Onix did level up Bellsprout twice somehow. For winning, I got the Boulder Badge, and I returned on my adventure. Along Route 3 was my next destination. Nothing super eventful takes place along the way, and I enter Mount Moon. I meet Jesse, James, and Meowth, 3 members of Team Rocket, inside. There was a trainer near the front of the cave, which I used a newly called Zubat to win. I was forced to battle a few more trainers along my way, but it was no big deal. Oh, and I called a Paris to battle a Rocket Grunt. Once I beat up a second Grunt and a Super Nerd, I got to grab a fossil, and I obviously chose the Plume fossil. It was time to fight Jesse and James now. I used a second Geodude, and I easily knocked out their Ekans and their Coughing, completely risk-free. I arrived in Cerulean City now. I bought just a few potions, and I went off to catch an Ekans. Drew Oak came running across Nugget Bridge, and I was forced to battle all 3 of his Pokemon. Remember, I was only using one Pokemon each battle, as another way to reduce the overall amount of XP that my Pokemon get. It actually wasn't bad, and Ekans totally crushed the sea. Before I headed on, I grabbed the worst item in the game, at least for me, in somebody's backyard. I then beat up 6 trainers, including a Rocket Grunt, on my way across the bridge. On the other side, I got a Brendanant and a Bellsprout. I thought I was ready to see Bill. Nope, there was a fisherman in the way. He was easy enough, and I forged on ahead. Eevee and I turned Bill from a Nidorino back into a human, and he gave us tickets to board the SSN. I was now ready to take on Misty. Or so I thought. Turns out that you must have a level 15 Pokemon, which is literally impossible to catch in that part of the game. I had to cheat and level up a Pokemon level 15 using that rare candy from earlier. Since it was against the rules to level up Pokemon and battle with them, I just didn't use it after the jump. Misty was a piece of cake with some X items, and I received my second badge. Drew Oak seemed to be waiting for me to ask me out, and I asked him as well. Ugh. Whatever. I head through the underground tunnel and arrive in Vermilion City. Before boarding the SS Anne, I caught a Mr. Mime and a Diglett. Drew Oak was once again waiting for me, but Mr. Mime defeated him easily. I walked up the steps and met the seasick captain. He rubbed his back and he reluctantly agreed to teach no level a secret technique. And I went through Diglett's tunnel for another secret technique. It would be used in the rock tunnel. On the way, I caught a Furo, and once I entered, I got him a chop. But I realized that the fish trainer had a slowpoke, so I caught Eradicate outside, then an Onyx back inside. With my new members, the rest was easy, and I soon arrived in Lavender Town. I knew that my rival was once again waiting for me inside the Pokemon Tower, so I caught a Vulpix, which I used to crush his team. Some ghosts soon appeared, and I had to come back later. Through the underground tunnel again. Brock was waiting in Celadon City, and he gave me some tea, which I gave to the thirsty guard in front of Saffron City. And now it was gym time. To enter, you need a cute Pokemon, and apparently Eradicate of all things is cute. Ignoring this, I evolved Vulpix with a Firestone, and made my way to Erica. With her fire type, her gym was simple, and I roasted her easily. The Team Rocket hideout was next, but I caught a second Eradicate before entering. Soon I arrived at the best part of the whole game. You get to move as your partner Pokemon, so I controlled no level to retrieve the Lick to keep. Then I crushed Jessie, James, Archer, and Giovanni to retrieve the Silph Scope. Outside, I also got the secret technique Sky Dash, and I was all ready to return to the Pokemon Tower. The Silph Scope revealed Cubone's motor as expected, and finally came another battle with Jessie and James. You have no idea how long this battle took me. I tried a few different strategies involving Haunters and Porygons before I remembered about the high-leveled Cubones in the Pokemon Tower. They got me the victory, and I happily continued on my adventure. Now that I had the Pokeflute, the challenge kind of began to be an easy mode for a bit. I could finally catch stronger Pokemon since I went to Fuchsia City. Here I was given the secret technique Sea Scan. This was very beneficial because I could now surf to new areas, like Cinnabar Island. Inside, I caught a Chansey and some Magmars. Eventually, I found the secret key, allowing me to access the gym. One final thing I did was catch a Gyarados nearby, so I could take the gym leader down with no problem. I didn't even need a burn heal. The Silph building was my next destination, and I quickly showed Blue and Archer who's boss, and received the card key. However, I caught a Weezing and Eradicate back in the Cinnabar Mansion. They were helpful to beat up Jessie and James again, along with the boss Giovanni. Because of my hard work, I was given the powerful Master Ball, which as you'll see does get used later on. Regardless, I challenged the nearby Psychic Gym and easily claimed another badge. I decided that I was now ready to fight the Fuchsia City Gym. Or so I thought. Turns out that I needed to go back and catch 25 new Pokemon. It was about 45 minutes of my life wasted to do so, but I caught them all anyways. Using Eradicate, I was able to get the Soul Badge from Koga. I was gifted some teeth, and I gave them to the man in a nearby house. In return, I got the final secret technique. Now I returned to Petal Town of Drew Oak, and we both got the Keystones to Mega Evolve our Pokemon, although I never actually used it. Plus, the Viridian Gym Leader was back in town, and I could challenge it. I decided that I would need another Gyarados to take it on, and then I was ready. Turns out that the leader was Giovanni. He happened to use ground types, and Gyarados was able to absolutely crush. I was finally able to head over to the Pokemon League, or at least after a quick battle of Drew Oak. I reached Victory Road, and it was pretty uneventful. I arrived at Indigo Plateau. Before I challenged it, however, I needed a few more strong Pokemon. I used a revived fossil of Aerodactyl to catch the first of them, Moltres. It was then used to catch Articuno, and Articuno was used to catch the last of them in Zapdos. I was almost prepared, but I first stocked up on some X items. Also, I didn't elaborate on this much before, but throughout the entire run, I had to use a few of these to win almost every battle. It was now time. Lorelei was first, and I used Moltres. I used X items to take out each of them using flamethrowers, with the exception of Slowbro, when I hit with Air Slash. Bruno was next, and I smacked 4 of his Pokemon with waterfalls from Gyarados. An outrage on Poliwrath. Third was Agatha, and I used Gyarados once again. The whole team went down the Earthquakes. Before Golbat, I hit with a simple punch. The fourth battle was against Lance, and he was interesting to fight. I used Articuno to counter most of his dragons by using Ice attacks. However, he also had a Charizard, which is obviously strong against my Frosty Bird. Luckily, I could still outgo him. I beat the entire Elite Four, and it was time to fight the champion. Professor Oak? No, it was actually Drew Oak. I used Zapdos in this final battle. I had to use some X items, well, a lot of X items. I used Thunderbolt on Pidgeot, Rapidash, and Nitro, then Drill Peck on Vileplume, Thunderbolt on Slowbro, and finally Drill Peck on Nidoran. I did it. I was the champion. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe for more content like this, as well as to comment. All of your support is greatly appreciated. I am the king of petitions, and I will see you next time.